What's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today we have Kevin Kennedy with Kennedy Club Fitness and Brett Weaver with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Randy.
Welcome. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Crazy times. This is the busiest times for the club, probably, at the beginning of the year.
It used to be that way. We'll see. We'll see what happens this year.
We'll stay steady year round anymore, but it's a good time.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. Kevin, I know you're super busy. As we've been trying to get you
I'm
on
not
for
that much busy. He's taking all my jobs away from me.
I know, right? Congratulations on that.
I'm trying to keep him retired. As long as money's in the bank, we're all good. He's smiling, happy. We're all
He does
good.
the traveling, you do the hard work.
That's okay.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm all good with that.
Yeah. We have different positions in the club, and he's what we call the COO now, the operating officer that goes between all the clubs, and I'm just the CFO. So all I got to do is make sure the money's in the right pockets, and then I go home and have lunch.
Perfect. Well, that's probably the hard part.
Well, no, he's got the hard part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, let's drill down. We've had Brett on here a couple different times talking about the club over the growth of it, and now we have Kevin Kennedy here talking about like the bread, the meat, and the potatoes. So let's talk about this. So you grew up in the North County or the South County, or tell me a little bit about that part.
Well, let me go back a ways, like to when I was born.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let's do it.
I won't spend a lot of time. I literally have been blessed my whole life with a lot of great people around me. And, it all comes because of a positive attitude and karma, I know. But it starts out with my parents, I came from a family of 6 kids, I'm the second of 6. There are 5 boys and 1 girl. We lived in Los Angeles. I got a football scholarship to the University of New Mexico, and because I was offered one at Cal Poly, but I didn't want to go Division II at the time, so this is 1972, and I took an offer and went to Albuquerque, New Mexico at UNM, and in my second year there, my roommate got fed up with the coaching staff and what was happening to us at New Mexico. And he said, hey, I've talked to the coaches at Cal Poly, and they said if we come and talk to them, we could get a scholarship there. I go, no, I'm not going to quit. I'm not a quitter. I'll stay here in New Mexico, and you go on. Well, he talked to me. It was a rainy night, and we were in a yellow V-dub in January of 1974. And we drove up on a rainy night to San Luis Obispo and went in and talked to the coaches, and they kind of told us what we had to do to get a scholarship there. And I go, oh my God, I could live the rest of my life here.
Really?
And so I called my dorm roommate back in New Mexico and said, pack my stuff up, I'm not coming back to school. And I had to take 24 units. So I went to Rio Hondo Junior College in Southern California, took 18 units in the spring, 6 at summer school. So I got my 24 units, and this is long before the college portal.
Right, yeah.
So I would have had to sit out a year transferring schools, but I got into Cal Poly in my 3rd year, and I played 3 years at Cal Poly.
So I'm curious of what the coach told you. Nowadays to get a scholarship, it's an act of Congress. So, what did he tell you was the stuff that's needed?
And he was an offensive lineman.
Well,
really?
At the time they needed linemen, and my roommate was also an offensive lineman, and he was moving, and we were at the time, I was 235, 240 pounds, 6'1". So when I grew up, I was going to go back to my sports history, is that in 7th grade, I was like 6'1", 190 pounds. And 8th grade, so I came in as a freshman going, oh my God, who's this guy? But I never grew after that. I stayed 6'1", but I was able to add a little bit of weight. So in college, I was a 235-pound offensive lineman. They don't have them these days. That's a nice linebacker size now.
Wow, I was trying to envision, what you say you got a scholarship, I'm thinking quarterback, wide receiver.
Right. Yeah, no, I was not one of the skilled players.
When you asked for some of the pictures, I wish we had some. You wouldn't, he was buff, big and buff.
Well, they happened to need offensive linemen. They needed linemen, so they welcomed Tim Hamilton was my roommate, and he's a big lawyer up in San Francisco now. And we both came here and just loved it, and ended up being roommates here at Cal Poly. And we both were offensive linemen here at Cal Poly.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's how I got here. That's how I started. I used to work for a company called Jack LaLanne European Health Spa.
Okay.
And cut my teeth basically in the health club business back in the 70s, working during the summers in Whittier. And I just loved the industry. So when I was graduating from Cal Poly, I did a feasibility study for a chain of health clubs in San Luis Obispo County, because there weren't any at the time. And I was a natural resource management major. Environmental management had nothing to do with my major, but I knew what I wanted to do as I was graduating in 1977. So myself and 3 other guys, we started a little place in downtown San Luis Obispo called the Health Fitness Center. 1977. It was in the old Sears building down on Higuera. Sears had moved out to Madonna Plaza.
Okay.
And they remodeled it into Corb's Trading Post and Cheap Thrills Records.
Okay.
And the Health Fitness Center was on the backside. And it was a little health spa. And make a long story short, I was invested with these guys there, and we kind of got in a big fist fight one night, and I said, I'm leaving, I'm going to go start my own place. So my wife and I, Barb, we said, let's move to Atascadero. And so we came up here in 1981 and started Kennedy Nautilus Center in like June of 1981. And I know that because my daughter Erin was only 4 months old at the time. And she turns 43 on February 8th, next month. So I can keep track of how many years. So we just celebrated our 42nd anniversary because I just asked Erin how old she is.
Right. Yeah.
But she was 4 months old when we started the business in a little place in Atascadero, right next to Glenn's Lawnmower Repair Shop.
Yeah,
we had 2,400 square feet. I bought 12 pieces of Nautilus. And with another funny story how I got into Nautilus. I mean, I was always into weightlifting and sports. I go back to my dad. He was an all-CIF football player at Loyola High School and Loyola University, and he was a boxer. He was an all-CIF boxer too in high school. They had boxing in high school then. So my athletic abilities, I guess, I have some of it in my DNA.
Interesting.
But yeah, where was I going with that? In the
you met Rex Kern.
Exactly, thank you. So I was a weightlifter, but my dad said, I've got this friend of mine, Johnny Heno, and do you remember Rex Kern? He married Johnny Heno's daughter. Well, Rex Kern was a Heisman Trophy candidate. He was a quarterback for Ohio State and played in the Rose Bowl and beat USC in the 1969 Rose Bowl his sophomore year. And so he was a very famous guy in my eyes. He went on to play pros a few years, but didn't make it big in the pros. But anyways, he was into Nautilus back in Ohio, and he brought the Nautilus concept to Santa Barbara in like 1980. And so I was lucky enough to go down and get a training session with Rex Kern at Nautilus of California in Santa Barbara. And the whole thing just clicked for me right then. It was just something that I knew that the whole world was going to change to. It was more about rehabilitation and, working for fitness rather than trying to be a bodybuilder or a power lifter. It was weightlifting for the masses, basically. 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week was our logo.
And that kind of was like the beginning of the fitness craze, because obviously
a modern era fitness.
Yeah, everybody's seen Pumping Iron, with the clubs down in down in LA and Venice and stuff like that, and the health club era. It was like people were like, I'm not going to work out because I don't want to be big and buff and stuff like that, but the mindset kind of started to change,
right?
And eating healthier and longevity was starting to be more of a focus than just putting on massive size and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's fitness for the masses, so we opened up non-intimidating facilities with the NOS equipment. It was a way
non-intimidating,
and service to meet people's needs. So it wasn't the pump. We ran from the pump and iron gym basically to appeal to the masses with rehabilitation, fitness, with 30-minute work, like Kevin says, and all this equipment. So that's the first. We're part of the industry. Its new beginning, as you see it today.
So the other half of our industry back then was, I told you, many people have come into my life for a reason. My wife Barb and I got married when we were 21. And she was into dance and was a very good dancer and went to Pat Jackson dance. And so she was always kind of into that thing. But so when we started the Kennedy Nautilus Center, I had my 12 pieces of Nautilus on one side, and she had her aerobics studio. They called it dance exercise. I don't even think the term aerobics had been
Jane Fonda has it.
Jazzercise.
Jane Fonda
was
came out, and
everybody used to refer to it as jazzercise. You got jazzercise classes?
Exactly,
No, we have group
right.
exercise classes. You know?
Yeah.
we called it aerobics.
Yeah.
It was all aerobics.
Yeah.
It was all aerobics back
Yeah.
then. Now it's group exercise. So the terms and terminology have changed. But so that part of the business grew immensely. So we had both things going for us. Was we had a great group exercise aerobics program, and then just the whole Nautilus concept. We didn't even have free weights until, when we opened
Early
San Luis
90s.
Obispo.
Yeah.
Really?
And another guy who came
late
into my
80s.
life back then was this guy sitting next to me, Brett Weaver here. He when we opened up in this little place next to Glenn's Lawnmower Repair, he was working as a chef for Trussell's.
Trussels, yeah.
Really?
And he joined, and he was a little 165, 175 pound,
If
dripping
that.
wet. He had actually broken his neck as a freshman in high school and never did play any sports or anything. But he started working out at my club, and he started
Talking.
He started getting muscles on him, and he didn't. And so then when we went, our next step was to San Luis Obispo. We went into the creamery in 1982. He said, "I could go to work for you and do better than all these other guys you've got here."
My background came from Marriott in the restaurant management, so I cut my teeth on the management through that. But Kevin, there's two guys I won't name the name, but I still know him. I said, I'd like to come to work for you. I really like doing this. You're just starting. I want to grow with you. And I can do a lot better job than the two guys you have in there.
Wow.
That's when we came down and opened up the San Luis Club in the creamery.
And of course, Kevin's like, well, all right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Slave labor, practically.
Right?
Pretty much.
So that was in the 80s, right?
Right.
Then you guys, but then at what point did you open up where you're at your current facility in Atascadero at? The 2-story, the club down there at the end of the complex.
Giving you the chronology. How do you say that? Anyway,
me.
so we had this chronological order. Thank you. We had the Atascadero Club. We opened San Luis in 1982, and the next one was we went down and we took over a place called Village Fitness Spa down in Arroyo Grande. And Brett said, "Give me that job. I'll go down there and run that place." And it was down in the dungeon, we called it. And so we had the 3 places. So we took over, Coker Ellsworth owned that place, and he was trying to get out of it. So we basically bought it from him and went in and put Nautilus equipment in there. So we had 3 locations. And from that point on, we were always trying to get funding and build our 3 locations. And I had a member who said, "Hey, Kevin, have you ever had to do limited partnerships?" And I go, "Oh, no, what's that?" "Well, you go out and it's called OPM, other people's money." But they invest in you and you promise them something, and it's all legal, but you got to have it drawn up with a lawyer and stuff like that. So I went out, I put a package together with the help of an attorney, and I went out selling my first limited partnership in Atascadero. And my dad, once again, who gave me great advice, said, "Kevin," he says, "if you're going to be in business, you got to own the mousetrap." He said, "Don't rent it. You got to buy the property and own your building, because then nobody can kick you out." And so that kind of always just sat with me. So the key to my limited partnership was that, listen, if this health club concept doesn't work, we're at least going to own the property, and we'll sell it and get out of it, and you get your money back. So I raised, $300,000 going out selling to about
Members.
30 or 40 members,
Yeah.
$5,000 and $10,000 investments, and we were able to buy the location in the Atascadero. So it was another friend of mine, funny story on that too, a guy named Galen Little. I found his golden retriever, was lost in this town, and I called him up and I said, "Hey, I've got your dog." And he said, "Oh yeah, where are you?" And so I took it over to him, and he said, "We're doing this development at the north end of Atascadero." He said, "I need an anchor tenant." At the time, I had owned the corner of Portola and Highway 41, right in front of the baseball field there.
Okay.
And I had Rob Rossi designed my first 3-court racquetball club on that property now, which is, it's got the monument, the Flags of Freedom monument on it now.
Yep.
So I used to own that property. And he said, "Listen, sell that and come in on my property and my deal here, and we'll make you the anchor tenant." So it seemed like a great thing to do. That's what we did. So that was 1983, 84 maybe.
Okay, I remember that because I used to go there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Galen Little built the complex. Another guy who came into my life that was really special to me was a guy named Dutch Sawyer. And he was a young contractor, a couple of years older than me, and I tagged along with him. And just because he knew how to build things. He knew how to get financing. He built a lot of buildings in the North County.
Back in the day.
I'm just trying to think of some of the places that he built that you would know, But anyways, so he built my building in Atascadero, and it was 15,000 square feet. It had an indoor swimming pool. In order to get it financed, I went to the bank, Century Federal Bank, which was kind of on the corner of, right across from where Mechanics Bank is now. That used to be called SenFed Bank, a guy named Jerry Harder. And I went in with a plan that Dutch did for me, because nobody would touch health clubs. They were what they called single-purpose buildings. And I said, listen, I want to build this office complex. It's a multi-use office complex, and it's got offices here. It's an upstairs, downstairs, and a main central desk here. And then I said, I took the layer off, and I said, no, it's not really. It's an athletic club. Look, it's got a swimming pool and racquetball courts, but I could redesign it back into this office complex if the athletic club doesn't work. And he said, you know what, I never would have invested in it if you'd have come and told me it was an athletic club, but since you did it that way, he lent me $550,000 to build that first club.
Wow, back in the day, business was a lot different.
Very different, very
You just
different.
walk in there,
Yeah.
handshake, your plan, and make it happen.
So we finished that club in, and it was 15,000 square feet with the indoor swimming pool and 3 racquetball courts. The weight room was upstairs, and
we had a group exercise studio in the indoor pool.
Yeah.
We literally had to put we had a waiting list to some members. We sold out so many new members within months. And everybody after that time we put on a waiting list because it was so busy. But at the same time, the Molina brothers were building Tasher Athletic Club.
Yeah, what was it called? It was called Tascadero Racquetball and Fitness or something.
Yeah. Okay.
And their whole concept was they were going to get in before us, and once we open up, we're going to beat you to the punch in Atascadero. So that kind of concerned us. They opened up in like May of 1985, and we opened up in October of 1985. And that club was instantly successful from day one. We had too many members, too fast. Yep. The swimming pool, the racquetball, we were selling excellent equipment. We were doing racquetball tournaments, and it was an amazing success.
Gatherings in the lobby,
we had parties,
shows, anniversary shows.
One thing that we did that nobody had ever heard of in the health club business, but ideas that I got from other large clubs in Orange County and up in the Bay Area, I got a beer and wine license. And why would an athletic club want a beer and wine license?
And we had to answer that question so many times over the last 30 years. But
it was a social club, and by the way, you can get in shape.
Right.
And most people that we were going after don't like to work out. They don't want to work out. They got to be entertained to do it. So we wanted to make it a very special place for them to come. We didn't want it to look like a gym. We didn't want them to see people, pumping iron as soon as they walk in the door. So we tried to create our lobbies to be something that was more like a department store, more like going into a restaurant.
Or a hotel lobby or something.
Hotel lobby, And we had a lot of parties. That was one of the things that made us different and more successful than the champions, which it ended up being Tascadero Racquetball Center down the street, because we had this social concept. It's about see and be seen, is what I call it. Is that, people say, I don't want to be seen. Yes, you do. I mean, otherwise you just work out in your garage. But people come because they see other people and see people see them. And that's what makes us successful more than anything else.
The social aspect.
And I was going to say that.
And
it's still social. You have a lot of people that will show up, and that's their ritual. That's their morning coffee. That's what they do, is they go there. They might have their morning coffee because, like I said, I see a lot of things being, we always talk about a club. Okay, it's not a gym, it's a club. And it really is a club. It's like you said, it's you have the lounge. You walk in, you got the chairs out there, the couches out there, the tables out there. I see a ton of people out there just sitting there having coffee with their friends. Yep. I see a lot of people playing pool, a lot of kids playing pool,
ping pong,
and of something I wouldn't ever think that it would be very busy, but it is busier than I would have anticipated thinking how busy that would be.
Isn't it crazy?
All day long, not just a certain period. I mean, I'll walk out of my office and there's like 5 or 6 kids playing pool. Of course they're yapping and stuff like that, but it's a group in basketball. Kids play basketball. My boy goes there, probably gets there. He's there for 5-6 hours between playing basketball and, working out at the gym and hanging out with his buddies. It's just like it's a club.
It is.
So-
It is a club. In fact, that is our number one rule that every employee knows. If they ever call Kennedy Club Fitness a gym, if they ever say it, they got to jump down and do 10 push-ups in front of me. Because if you want a single syllable name, it's the club. We like to be the club. And I've always said that, it's a fun place to go to. And oh, by the way, you can get in shape if you want to. And so we've just kind of always run with that. Another thing that we've always identified with was calling everybody by their first name. When you walk in the door, I want everybody to say your name. Hi, Randy, how you doing? See you later, Randy. Did you have a good workout? And I had more people that would come from my competitor in town and say, wow, I was a member down there for 2 years. Nobody ever called my name. The second day I walked out of here, they're saying my name and saying goodbye to me. I'm like, how did they know that? And it was like, they're very smart. Well, they obviously read your membership card.
Right.
They were trained to do that, Look at the membership card, find the person's first name, and speak to, what was the show? Cheers.
Right.
Where everybody knows your name was obviously the
personal.
concept.
It makes it personal. It's like a waitress
Totally.
knowing, hey, Kevin, hey, do you want the same thing? And you're like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of really makes it, personal, and it's comforting, for people to kind of go out and, into a comfort zone and know your name and know who you are, and, make a point to say hi or whatever it is. So when did the alcohol leave?
Well, let's not talk about that till later. Okay.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It's like
I'm going to go through the chronological order here again. So there was a mortuary next door to us in Atascadero, and a guy that was a member of the club, his name was Dick Hart, who now is a dear friend of mine, and he and I talk about our karma and how things came about. But I said, listen, I want to build a swimming pool on this property here. And he said, no, you'll never be able to do it because it's a dedicated cemetery and we can't take that dedication off. Well, it took me about 10 years to convince him that, you know what, this needs to be not a cemetery right here in Atascadero. How ugly would that look? Wouldn't it look a lot better if we had a 50-meter swimming pool? Well, I had no idea how I was going to build a 50-meter swimming pool on it, but he ended up giving me a 50-year lease on that property. And I went out once again seeking other people's money, and we came up with a concept called the country club concept. And a family can invest in a deposit that because we were going to sell 300 memberships for $3,000, and your family would obviously have 50% off their dues as long as they held the deposit with us. And anytime they want it back, we'd refund it back to them. So I went out to raise $900,000 to build this swimming pool. And that concept started in 1994, 95, and then we finally built the pool in 2001. But once again, another person that came into my life, and honestly, I look back at all the years, and there's been so much divine intervention that happened in my life and sending people our way and things that happened. I couldn't have done it on my own. I don't know how it happened. But Anita Robinson Miracle, and we always called her Anita Miracle, who was opening up a Mission Community Bank at the time. Mission Community Bank she was working for another bank at the time and decided she was going to go out and start her own bank. And I had known her because our sons played baseball together and football at Atascadero High School. And so she kind of became my savior, and she used our company to catapult us and did our first loan on that Atascadero swimming pool project. And then she financed our Arroyo Grande property and got that building done. And then I went out and found the property and built the building in San Luis Obispo. All within 1981. We finished the swimming pool aquatic center project. 2001.
2001, yeah.
I'm losing my years. Keep my chronological order. 2001, we finished the aquatic center at Atascadero. And then we went down and we had owned the property in Arroyo Grande. We finished that project in August of 2002. And then in 2003, we found the property in San Luis Obispo, purchased it, and built that building and opened it in 2004.
We sat in that property in AG for so long, there's actually a for sale sign on it. We're trying to sell it.
5 years we tried to sell it.
Yeah.
We were trying to get out of it. We've been through some very ups and downs. I'm giving you all the good points.
Well, I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The cemetery one, that's really interesting.
And Dick Hart, you can't get him out of the pool.
No,
he's there every single day. I mean, I know Kevin had to convince him, but I swear to God, he's the grandfather of the pool.
Yeah,
and he caretakes.
He takes ownership. He takes ownership.
Takes ownership, and he loves it, and he tells everybody about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
way
That's
better
awesome.
than
And
plots and
Yeah.
cemeteries sitting there on the side of the hill, you know.
yeah, I think he really appreciates the fact that he made that decision. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to convince him of it, but now he is our biggest.
He's our biggest advocate.
Yeah, right. So.
Wow.
But anyway, so after we finished the St. Louis Club, it was immediately successful. Brett was down in Rio Grande still at that time and opened up a Rio Grande and got that. And then he moved up and became the general manager and basically was the kickoff general manager of the St. Louis Obispo Club. And once again, we ended up with like 5,000 or 6,000 members within 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
It was too many members, too fast, too soon. It just grew like crazy.
and obviously
so-
you didn't expect that.
Well, not that fast.
Yeah.
That was more of a longer term goal.
Yeah, because we were the first one there. We were the first one with the 50-meter swimming pool. In fact, I had people that were calling me up asking me to not build 2 racquetball courts, build a squash court, and we'll come be members because there's no squash courts. So we said, last minute, really, we were under construction. We took one of the racquetball courts and made it a squash court. And it's the only squash court still in San Luis Obispo.
The regulation squash court. Yeah.
Regulation squash court. But things like that. We made decisions on things as we went. But moving on, we said, wow, you know what? We're so successful. We'd better do something in Paso Robles before somebody else does. So I refinanced all the properties again, the Rio Grande, the San Luis Obispo, and the Atascadero properties, and came up and purchased the property. Once again, a guy who came into my life, the Caglieros, the whole Cagliero family, which are very well known here, he used to own that property. And we were in the middle of designing it and trying to lease it from him when he passed away. And the estate wanted to sell us the property, and so that's when I had to go and refinance the whole thing. I went back to Anita Robinson Miracle and said, I need another loan, But by this time, Katrina had hit in Florida and skyrocketed all the building costs. Yeah. And, $7 million project went to $12 million. And we had to we had the property, we bought it, so we had to go build the thing. But we waited a year to finish Paso just because construction costs had skyrocketed so much back in 2006.
Concrete and steel was just like double, triple what it
Drywall.
was in San Luis Obispo.
Now, did you go back to the original concept of selling like your long-time membership or lifetime membership?
Country club memberships,
yeah.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Every time we opened up a club, we went back to the people who we knew were going to be members and said, hey, how would you like to have
Country club membership.
Country club membership, which gave you special privileges. And so we tacked on other privileges and that concept worked there too. We were able to do things like, the rock walls and that entryway and things like that because we financed that through the country club plan. And once again, it was just one of those ideas that I had back in the 90s and it worked out. We still have them today. But so we finished the Paso Robles project. And like I said, I want to say the St. Louis project was a $7 million project. Paso was a $12 million project.
That
was the difference.
That's just construction.
And we opened it on December 15th, 2007. And that just happened to be the day that the Great Recession started. So that club was not the success that the St. Louis Club or the Atascadero Club had.
Opening.
We didn't realize at the time. I mean, we sold 4,000 memberships when we opened that club in, between the first 6 months. But we had lost 2,000 members in all the other clubs because the recession was hurting everybody so bad then. So where we had this immediate success, Paso was not successful. It was really hurting the company, and we were struggling and working it, and we had overbuilt it. And we had anticipated at the time in 2006, Paso Robles was supposed to be bigger than San Luis Obispo. They predicted it, enlarging the airport and building, Paso was going to be 50,000 population within 5 years. So we figured $12 million, let's go for it. Well, guess what happened? The Great Recession hit. They closed the boys' school. 1,000 employees are gone all of a sudden out of Paso Robles. And
you're panicking.
And we panicked. We struggled for years. I mean, I think the hardest year was 2009 and 2010. We maybe started getting back on our feet back in 2011.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
And then in 2011,
Well, people were losing their jobs. Businesses were closing. People foreclosing on their houses, and it just ugly. And here we're at a new business trying to get started and go on an expensive building. So,
wow.
But, unlike a lot of mentors in the industry that were just trying to build clubs and move on. I said, my whole goal was only to be a big fish in a small pond. I only wanted San Luis Obispo County, and I wanted, to me, San Luis Obispo was the most beautiful spot in the world. And I felt it was the healthiest spot in the world. I figured people that were here, that moved to San Luis Obispo, came here because they didn't want to live in the big cities. And it was right in the middle between San Francisco and LA. It was on the coast. It was just a jewel. And so I said, all I'm going to do is just going to improve on these 4 clubs, and we're going to make them the best athletic clubs and fitness social clubs in the world right here in Little San Luis Obispo. And
in the county.
Wow, that's well. I mean, it's and that's you have weathered the test of time. The Kennedy clubs have weathered the time between the new clubs, the new gyms popping up. Well, they come and go.
Yeah.
And again, you guys have done that. You guys have done that really well.
I think when you say the highs and lows, there's so many of them. This guy busted his ass, gave up everything to.
Can you say that on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll put that on repeat.
He's got bigger cojones than anybody that I know. What you have to go through to put something like this together with no money.
Well, I was always trying to do something new. I always wanted to be on the cutting edge. I mean, we put in float tanks in 1995. You know what those are?
No, but tell me.
Well, they were sensory deprivation tanks. We actually built rooms and put them in, and I was going to be the float tank distributor of the West Coast and representing this company out of Detroit who had this idea. And they were kind of egg-shaped things you would actually go into and you'd float. And while you were floating in this water that was 96.5 degrees, Epsom salt water, you floated and you actually went in and closed it. So you're in total darkness, total quiet. And there was a TV set that was up in the ceiling. And as you're floating, we could put on the perfect golf shot, the perfect three-point shot, lose weight now, or whatever, Renew your membership at Kennedy Club Fitness today. I know, just kidding.
So Kevin, let me stop you right there. So what type of, so I'm envisioning you're enclosing yourself in this water.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Floating.
Right. And so, I mean, what type of, responsive, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Is you have somebody in there pass out. I mean,
Well, we were monitored, so we could hear. So we had a monitoring station that was outside, and so they would put on a VHS tape, and it would play in there. And so we knew, you could, if they were struggling in the water, it was mic'd. You could hear it outside.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
I know it. Yeah.
Insurance. I don't think so.
The water was only this deep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it was 400 pounds of Epsom salt in the water, so you literally just floated on it, and you couldn't feel any sensation on your skin because it was skin temperature and it was totally dark and totally quiet. And the concept was to get into your right brain mentality and to just be into a subconscious state. And we were trying to affect your subconscious mind. And I did a lot of studying of mind and right brain, left brain theories and things like that. And honestly, the only reason I went back to this because it was just one of the crazy ideas.
Sure, no, that's.
I mean, they had to build showers in the room,
but these were the smaller clubs. These weren't the big clubs. These are the smaller clubs.
Yeah.
The small club in AG, the small club in San Luis, the first or second phase in Tasero. Actually, had to build out rooms. You had to tile them. You had to put showers in there in these deprivation tanks, and it was just way before its time. Nobody really got.
Well, the health department didn't like our filtration system on it. They got involved. We got some fines, and then the tank started leaking and eating up the salt in the walls, and then we said, okay, this is Then the company that I was representing went out of business, so we ended up taking them all out. I had 2 of them sitting in my front yard on a trailer for probably 5 or 10 years.
One was mothballed into the wall. They had to build a wall in between the walls.
Yeah. But it was an incredible idea. We've had many ideas like that over the years.
Well, I think that's what the health industry is all about. It's innovation from a concept to making it better, healthy, better for the consumer, better for the experience of, longevity.
Right. I mean, the latest one to tag on to that now is we have the K-Zone,
right,
which is all about, when you work out, you tear your body down theoretically, right? You make it tired, and then your body responds by building back stronger. And so the workout is important, but the recovery is just as important. It's probably more important that people don't realize. So people get into working out, and when they really get into it, they work out. But if you're not giving yourself the nutrition and the recovery, then you're never going to gain the benefit from the workout. So we came up with this concept of the recovery center, of just getting people to, realize that if you can relax better and get better circulation in your body, you can recover from the workout better, you'll see better results. And that's kind of a spin-off off of the 1995 float tanks, is our recovery zone that we're promoting now.
Which is the infrared sauna. You have the water jet, massage chairs,
right?
And then you have
compression chairs. Yeah. And we're probably soon going to get into the cryotherapy stuff. We're waiting to see. There's a lot of issues with that, but that's probably the next step we'll get into, is cryotherapy, and add that to the.
That's the water. That's the cold.
Free. Yeah.
Where,
minus 140.
Where it goes around you and it kind of closes in behind around you like a shower would.
Yeah, you can go in with your head out, but they have ones where you actually step into a whole room.
Because right now that whole cold plunge is really big.
Yeah.
As far as it does great wonders for your body, your toxicity levels, and all that stuff.
That modality, you have to be a little more supervised than just letting them go into a room, but that'd be next. And then Hydro Massage came out with a hot and cold bed, which is kind of cool. We used it at Ursa last year, just coming out and stuff. That may be an alternative to it, where it spot cools you instead of walking to a chamber. But it's part of the recovery.
So right now it's probably at the beginning of the year. There's probably like all these shows that conventions that you would go to for all these new products. So probably right now is that time frame, or do you already have it set in your mind of what you want to do for all the clubs or certain clubs? I mean, is that something you think about?
We're always looking for the new, what we call a purple cow kind of idea. It's one that people go, oh, wow, they have one of those. We belong to an organization called IRSA, the International Health Racket Sports Association, and they have a annual convention every March that we take our managers to and go down to that and try to get ideas, and we sit around and brainstorm on what we should and shouldn't do. And so that's always an interesting time, but
they have a huge trade show. It's massive. It takes 2 days
worldwide.
to walk through.
People come from all over the world.
It's a great time to talk to vendors and see what's new out there, and it's a great gathering. So
now, Kevin, so you just turned 81, right? I mean, but what I'm getting to is, 81. I mean, you look amazing.
I'm not 81.
You're not?
No. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we started in 1981, but I just turned 70.
You just turned 70 on Friday.
70. Oh, I'm sorry. I got those. But okay, my bad.
I'm going to start telling everybody I'm 81 though. But that works. Yeah.
But the point is I mean, I wouldn't even come close to even thinking 70 years old. Really wouldn't.
That's what I say.
The point is you can contribute that probably to the lifestyle that you live. You say that you're on your bicycle all the time, so you're keeping that, health and fitness isn't January to March.
No, it's a lifestyle.
Birth to death, really. I mean, that's really where it's at.
Yeah, and we've been fortunate to be in that mode our whole life. 42 years we've had the business, and that's what we've promoted. And our motto is we're trying to make San Luis Obispo the healthiest place in the world. I have another friend of mine who has health clubs back in Florida, and he claims that Gainesville is the healthiest place in the world. And we keep saying, no, San Luis Obispo is, but it's just a fun competition. But we literally are. We are trying to make San Luis Obispo people a lifestyle of health. That's what we've done. And we've obviously worked out. I did triathlons. I did, racquetball. I was an racquetball player. Skiing. I love snow skiing. I have to keep my body in shape and strong and injury-free. And the only way to do that is continuing to strength train, continuing to keep your bones, not only your muscles, but your bone density up. And you have to watch your weight. So nutrition is a very important thing. And I thank my wife, Barb, for, really keeping me into salads and watching, because I could probably blow back up to 235 if she wasn't more health conscious in her food than I am.
It's easy to do. Now, Kevin, what over the years, what has been your biggest surprise in the health industry? From the time in '81 when you opened up to today, what is your biggest surprise?
I'm gonna tell you right now, closing us during COVID.
Oh.
I don't want to talk bad, and I don't want to bring up but honestly, that was the worst and the best thing for us. when they said, "Oh, we're going to close businesses," and the fact that working out causes transmission of this COVID disease worse than anything else, and sorry, you have to close your business. And it was like, where are we? Are we in Russia? It's like
Right.
America's never done that.
Well, and they would deem you, high risk, non-essential, and a super spreader. You're going, wow, and we had to fight that narrative.
You guys got a lot of heat for what you did. Huh?
So, we had 4 clubs. We had 16,000 members throughout the county and 310 employees, I think, at the time. And we'd lay all 310 employees. I kept one general manager at each location just so that the homeless people couldn't get into our buildings. But we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, we could be going bankrupt. We could be, everybody losing everything. Every time I heard somebody was handing out free money, I got in line. And, I went first to my bank when the PPP money started coming out. That was the first thing, I went back to my bank and I said, hey, we're not going to collect people's dues if we're not open. So we're not going to be having any income whatsoever. And we had no idea the PPP was going to be what it was at the time. But I got like $1.5 million of PPP money. And that year of 2020, we lost $1 million in the business. But it was the weirdest way of doing business. I had to lose it in order to keep the PPP money.
Right. So you had lost that money to keep the PPP.
And then we had to prove we lost the money so that I wouldn't have to pay it back. I mean, I've never done business like that in my life ever. It was so when we were closed up for a little over 3 months. It was March 19th,
like
2020.
Doors are locked.
Doors locked. Okay. Nobody could come in. And then on June 15th, or around the end of June, they allowed us to reopen. And we were open for a month. And then they said, you can stay open, but everybody's got to be outside. You can't come inside. And, we were never for this, obviously. Brett, God bless him, was letting people go in and work out upstairs in the club. And there was literally a guy standing across the street.
Well, actually, when we were told to go outside, about a week later, I said, Kevin, all the fires outside, we're losing our ass here. 2 weeks later, I said, I'm opening the club. It sounds like it's going to be open, wide open. It was. I said, hey, you okay with it? He goes, yeah. And then everything just kind of blossomed from there. All the headaches.
But you guys got a lot of heat for the San Luis one, more so than...
San Luis by far. Yeah.
We got $20,000 in fines from San Luis Obispo.
And Code Enforcement.
City of San Luis Obispo.
Code Enforcement would come in 3 times a week.
And you started a GoFundMe or something for that, right?
I started a GoFundMe to raise money for our attorney fees and pay for the fines.
And then that you actually paid that.
Yeah, we hired Cunningham, our assemblyman, to be our lawyer. He took us on after he won the election, and we went and appealed every one of those fines, and we lost them all.
Yeah.
Then we took them to court. We lost all the appeals.
The appeals board was a bunch of city buddies, and that wasn't going to fly. Then we took them to court and challenged them on it. We lost there also.
Yeah. But here's what's funny. It's like the South, this is where we decided, oh my God, the South County is way different than the North County.
San Luis Obispo.
Right.
Well, Red Grandy was kind of following San Luis Obispo. We got a $100 fine down there.
Nothing like San Luis.
Nothing like San Luis Obispo. San Luis Obispo was literally against us. We had meetings with Penny Borenstein in a room with her and with John Pashah. And
Bruce Gibson was on some Zoom meetings with.
Because we were arguing the fact of, listen, our whole reason for being in business is to make San Luis Obispo the healthiest place in the world. How are we going to do that if you're going to shut us down? You can't, you're going to spread the disease. And I know there was a lot of fear involved, but there was so much hype to that fear. And the people that were healthy and not obese and didn't have diabetes, the people that were working out, were the ones that were coming back, were not the ones that were getting sick. I mean, I can't say that there was 100%, but there was just so much fear and so much misinformation happening then. We just stuck to our guns and said, listen, we still believe that working out and fitness and getting out and doing things is the best thing in the world for you, and it'll keep your immune system up, and you're better off doing that than going and locking yourself in your house.
Well, I think 100%. That fear to some point is still out there because we opened up with 10,000. We lost 6,000 members.
Yeah.
And we've gained some new members, but we still haven't come close to that number again. And
in San Luis,
the whole county,
as a whole.
We lost 10,000.
All 4 clubs. We
had 16,000 members, and we from opening COVID, we were down to 10,000 members coming.
Yeah, a little
down the
under.
line.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where we've stayed.
But we only brought back 150 of our 300 employees. So we literally changed the whole way we do business. Went online with membership sales. We let our marketing staff go. We changed the way that we had membership people and commissions and front desk and how we did that. And we wouldn't have done it had COVID not hit us, had not made us change. So we adapted, and it was the best thing in the world for us. Right now, we're doing better now with our gross, we were a $10 million grossing company before of 16,000 members, and now with 10,500, we're maybe like $8 million, $7.5 million grossing company.
But
our profit margins are way up because of the way we're doing business now.
But we have, bringing back some key people, we have some phenomenal people. We have, Keith and the GMs.
Once again, blessed with people.
Yeah.
Is what I say. I mean, honestly, the divine intervention that brought the people back and how we recuperated from the COVID shutdown was an act of God.
Yeah.
Really and obviously that was a roll of the dice because you didn't know really what was going to happen, whether it be, county, state, or federal, coming down on you for essentially going against the grain.
Yeah.
You're just, at some point, enough is enough. At some point you need to make a decision, for yourself, for your business, for your livelihood. What are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and drown and go down? Or are we going to, buck the system and do what we got to do?
Right.
And, like I said, San Luis was a little bit more challenging. And like I said, that's why I think that North County is such a different area. And, obviously, I would like to think, and probably is true, is you have people that, was like, what? Kennedy Club is open. They, they're saying, hey, health comes first, and
they attacked us.
And but I think you might have got some more members because of that mindset.
Well, in that, what are the elderly doing? So they stopped coming. They need it the most, or physically challenged or whatever. It's just they quit or went on to something else. But we're slowly seeing some of that come back, but nothing like.
Well, the road we took, as I read this someplace, but it said, we're all on this storm together, but we're all in different boats. Mm-hmm. So we're going to weather this storm. But I said, but here's the way here's the course that our boat's going to go. And we're going to weather the storm, and you're either going to be on our boat, but if you're not on our boat, then don't come back. In other words, like this is going to be our stance. And it turned out to be the right one, I guess, because we're doing very well now. But it's the fact that everybody was going through that. It wasn't just one business or just one industry. It was the world going through
everything.
This. Yeah, and so you had to pick the route you were going to take with your boat, and you hope that the people that are on your boat are the ones that are rowing with you and putting the sails up and working with you rather than against you.
And thinking back, like I said, 1981. The fitness industry is going like this. I mean, it's still growing like this. I mean, it's expected to be a billion industry by 2030, right? And so just going like this, growing, and then all of a sudden everything stops. And you're thinking that in your mind you've created this legacy, this club for health. Obviously, what do they talk about? Eating good, working out, staying active helps to build your immune system. It helps all your ailments that could be going on. And they say, you are now the plague. You guys are transmitting and helping to spread this. And you're just like,
with no facts,
what?
With no information or facts to back it up. That's what everybody followed.
Well, my friend Dick Hart would say, it's all about karma. You know what? You create a good vibe. You create positiveness in the world, not negativeness. So if you can continue to create positiveness, you'll attract positive. And that's literally what happened to us in the last couple of years. I mean, we weathered the storm by just trying to create positive vibes and not going on the negative side. And it all came back to us. It really did. It come back to us more than it did before COVID, which is interesting.
So, Kevin, I want to kind of jump back and jump forward. So, racquetball in the 80s.
Yes.
So
great sport.
And obviously that's still thriving because you have 3 courts in Paso.
2 in Paso.
2 in Paso?
Yeah, two racquetball courts.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have
We're down to one
Tascadero?
In Atascadero.
Tascadero, yeah. You know, my
And we're-
competitor Champions closed up. He didn't make it through COVID. And so we went down and bought a bunch of his equipment and mirrors when he was closing up. And we took
flooring.
out Court 2 and expanded our weight room after he closed up. And so we got rid of one. We only have one court in Tascadero and one in San Luis Obispo.
which is about ready to be converted to an indoor driving range.
Don't bring that up now.
I know, don't.
We'll talk
What?
about it a different time. When,
Oh, hey, kind of like the old Copelands. Remember the Copelands had that?
Exactly.
That was a great run.
It's another idea we come up with, but I didn't want to unleash that on the.
We
on your
just
crowd
did.
Now. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I think it just goes along with, utilizing your space and bringing things and making it a club. It's not a gym, it's a club. So there's still
Exactly. And I mean, and again, another sport, very active,
Well, multi-purpose health club. That's
Yeah.
what we are.
Yeah.
We're trying to build, and we're trying to go with what people want. Basketball was the big thing. Volleyball was for a while. Now it's pickleball. We
know.
just put in a pickleball court, and we took out a volleyball court, sand volleyball court in San Luis,
Luis.
and built a pickleball court there.
and converted it outdoor.
So is
court
that the
in
new
Tascadero.
racquetball?
Yeah, how
to a certain
pickleball's
point, because young and old are playing it. So
So we have two pickleball courts in Tascadero. We built them on the basketball court that was outside there, and it's taken off there like crazy. I mean, it already, for the last, 8-10 years, pickleball has been the number one growing sport amongst people my age, I guess. But now the younger kids are getting into it, and it's becoming a highly competitive sport. And you see it on TV now, and the movie stars are into it. And so we thought, well, let's build some courts then, see what happens.
it's growing like racquetball did, because when racquetball in the 80s, people are taking big warehouses and building multiple racquetball courts in it. And later, as racquetball died, they converted to things were closed down.
Right.
Pickleball is the same thing. These big warehouse buildings all over the country spending millions of dollars on these indoor multi-facility pickleball courts. It'll be interesting to see where that ends up also.
Yeah, it's one of those sports. I mean, I don't know anything about it other than it's like somehow between racquetball, tennis, and probably ping pong.
Yeah.
It's like merged together into this,
Well, it's a
This
social
game.
sport too.
Yeah.
That's what it's
Very social.
driving it. It's something that people of advanced years of wisdom can go out and play and not hurt themselves as much. So it's not as abusive on your body as, say, racquetball was or tennis is. And so you can go out because it's about dinking. It's about moving and dinking. But once again, it's about seeing your friends, talking to them. It's an interaction. And it's something that's not as abusive to your body as some of the other sports, is why it's taken off amongst the older generation.
And in those big places, there's food courts, there's beer and wine. So it's, a social aspect, a part of it bringing people together.
Yeah.
And
So-
it's the same thing like the golf concept, the driving range, is that you see this big, in Vegas, these places have none of these high-rise buildings, and they're
Top golf.
and they're
Yeah.
firing off golf off out in the middle of nowhere and stuff. It's the same concept with the indoor. It's crazy.
You touched on something as far as ages, the age, and so you have a really cool program. It's for our older generations with their insurance. And insurance pays for their membership.
Yep.
Right.
Right. So tell me about that. That's called the Silver.
Well, we have 4 different Medicare programs right now, and that's Renew Active, Pure Fit, Silver and Fit, and One Pass. And we probably have 1,400 members countywide on that, and it's not slowing down; it's continuing to grow. But it's at least a way to introduce them to it. But we got to get them in the building using it, and we got to create things, classes, and stuff around that to connect them in the clubs. And we actually have a retention counselor for the Medicare patients or clients who are actually, she's also, she's outreaching, engaging them, creating things in the club to bring them in. So it's a growing market. It's not going away.
Brett and I are in the baby boom generation. So when we were starting the clubs, we were in our 30s. And I remember we were members of IRSA back then too. And they were talking about the baby boom generation is the largest group of population that's moving through this snake right now. And by the time they get to their 60s and 70s, you'd better be ready. If they don't go into that healthy, they're going to bankrupt the country, because there's so many of them. They've never had a baby boom of people like that in the history of the world. And so that's us now. And I kept saying, I remember back in the 30s, 40s, I says, yeah, but When I get to be 65 or 70, I'm still going to listen to Jimi Hendrix. And,
Yeah. I'm going to lift weights.
Journey, and I'm still going to be, yeah. What do we do to change?
Yeah.
At
90, I'm going to drive their friends to lift weights.
I'm surprised at the people I talk to who are 65 plus, who are intimidated and fearful to walk into our doors still. Because the concept is, I don't know what to do.
Yep.
And I say, just come in and try us. So we now have an employee who specializes in just connecting one-on-one with that generation of people to get them to come in and feel comfortable of walking in the doors. It's an amazing intimidation factor that if you've grown up being healthy your whole life, you don't realize it. But if you've dropped out of being healthy over the last 20 or 30 years, then it's a tremendous intimidation to start back up.
And I agree with that. I think that's on any age level too. Just going into a big club, and you're not used to it. You're not familiar with workouts and stuff like that. You kind of start this whole new year. I gotta get in shape. I gotta do better. I gotta eat better. And you really the burnout rate is what 50% or something like that as far as members to after 3 months or something like that, because they just don't understand what they're supposed to do or what they're not supposed to do, but mostly probably that intimidation factor. Yeah. And then when you get into the older generation, which probably wasn't raised on this whole health kick, now it's like you're getting to that age to where, things are starting to hurt. You're getting aches and pains, it's a little slower. Yeah. And they're realizing that, being active, the longevity, I mean, those two go hand in hand together. Yeah.
Well, my father passed away at 88. My mom is still living down in Orange County, and she is 93. Wow. And she lives in an assisted living care center, but she lives, independently. And there's a little workout facility in her place there, And now her generation was not brought up in the health club generation like ours was. And so, but I got her a personal trainer to work out with her, and she goes one day a week to meet down there. And I just happened to be down there a couple of weeks ago and went in to work out with her. And she is, totally intimidated by it, but at least she's doing it. And this gal that works with her is very hands-on and does very well and just gets her to do minor things. But movement, that's all it is. It's about you've got to move, And that being said, there are a lot of members of our club in their 80s and 90s now that understand that. We're just trying to hit that population that even if you're 90 years old, you can still start today and come in and do something and you can improve. And a lot of people think, it's too late for me. It's not. It's never too late.
Never too late.
You'll always want to be improving yourself no matter what age you are. And you always can. And you're always trying to slow down. I tell people, we all grow old, but you don't have to get old. You can still keep yourself, from getting injuries, from, falling down is the one thing you hear about old people. They fell down.
Flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Flexibility is probably the key thing that goes away as we grow older because we don't move around as much. We're not, the muscles just and the joints, just don't turn and move.
The reason my family decided to get my mom into the assisted living because she fell down one night and couldn't get up. Spent the whole night on the floor, and we didn't know about it till the next day. She couldn't get to her phone. She had lost it, and here she was. So one of the things that I try to teach older people is how to get up off the floor. You don't think how hard that is, but if you don't have any upper body strength and you fall down, how do you get up? And there's a technique to doing it that, someday I'll show you. But anyway,
hopefully I don't need it now.
Okay, Mom, listen, you need, just for all of us kids feeling better about you, you need to be someplace where, you can get to, somebody can get to you because all my my 5 other siblings were all not near her. My one sister's down there with her now, but she lives in a great place. And so I just always try to encourage the older generation to do something now. Don't wait. It's not too late. Start. And this program that Brett's got going and so many different, insurance paid, it's free to them.
Yeah.
Now, the only problem with that, sometimes if you get it for free, you don't value it.
And that's where we got to make the connection to get them in the door. Sure,
exactly.
That's very important. But it's an intimidation factor. So
right.
You got to hold their hand, get them in the door.
It's one thing that has changed the industry too. Is the insurance companies now are finally understanding that you've got all this baby boom generation that now they're really encouraging and paying for this health club membership for them, where they didn't do it before.
Because they're going to be they're affected also with all these insurance claims and stuff like that. So
exactly.
Probably understanding that kind of helping to not have those claims and not, the injuries and the, broken bones and stuff like that, to prevent those.
Right.
Preventative is more
Preventative medicine. Exactly.
Our reimbursement from the insurance company is minimal compared to what the money that they're forking out for, health care and injuries and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the cost of being sick.
Yeah, the cost of being sick. This is a fraction. But thankfully, it's available to us, and we'll keep breaking those barriers. And there's Aetna right now has, outside of the Medicare program, they'll reimburse you up to X amount of dollars every quarter and every year for things like health club memberships, personal training, paying for your snow skis. So the insurance company will continue to grow and expand, and also in the corporate market. So we'll continue doing our due diligence in that market, in all the insurance games, to bring people in and hopefully steady income for us. But also there's the FIT Act that's national. Hopefully that passes with Congress in the next year or two. IRSA's fighting really hard for that. And that's simply, if you should get a tax break for, proving that you're living an active lifestyle, because you're just bankrupting the whole health care industry anyway. So let's continue to encourage people to be healthy at all different aspects, and the government should be paying for it, help them out.
Yeah, but then again, it marries right into what our original concept was back from 1981, which is social. It's that people get out of their house, come in, and you'll see people your own age, or not your own age. You interact with people. And so the interaction and the social part of it is the club atmosphere of it, not the gym atmosphere of it. And obviously you're going to go there to work out, but the group exercise programs that people are just, it's like a magnet draws them to that because of the social they want to be in doing. When they see other people doing this, you're more motivated to do it. It's huge with our company right now.
So when we're out reaching out to get them in the club, the Medicare clients, members, hey, we've got a donut and coffee social. And when they come in, there'll be 20 to 40 of them. That got them in the door. And
They're sugar-free donuts. But.
Yeah. I mean, to see them stand in line for the coffee and eat all the donuts and stuff, but it got them in the door. Yeah. And then when you have a captive audience, you can show them around the club. You can see what we have going on. Paso in this month, we have a senior day, and there's a Pure Fit representative coming in. It's things like that to bring them in and hold their hand that could be huge for us. But it's, where else are you going to go? You're not going to go to Planet Fitness, although Pure Fit and Silver Sneakers is offered at Planet Fitness. But would you rather go Planet Fitness or us with everything that's going on as a club, as social? Come see your friends, bring your friends in. And we have specialty classes past all the clubs for connecting that senior into fitness even. Specialty classes have popped up in our clubs to do that.
I'd like to get a shout out to our Group X department. Now, my wife ran the program for the first 40 years of it. And so Brett was she wanted to retire. She still teaches 3 classes a week.
I kicked her out the door, which I didn't mean to do in a good way, but retire them both. Retire them both.
We had a gal, Katie Loera, and that was Katie Kyle,
awesome,
who basically now is our countywide Group X director, who is doing phenomenal. I mean, she's taken over the program, and so she's in all 4 of the clubs, just making sure that the group exercise programs are what they should be, and they uphold our values and what we want. And she's, hiring people, and you can imagine, hiring people for that job is a task, and organizing the schedule and making sure that people are there on time and being there, and that the class follows all of the safety rules, the things that we want for a good group exercise program. But that program is running amazing right now.
And there's a lot of people that attend that.
Yes.
You not only...
Well, you're in Paso Robles. You could in one day on a Wednesday morning, you could walk into the basketball court. There's 50 people.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a power class or Zumba or yoga. Then you go into Studio A, there's another class. There's 35 people in there, and then go on the on the pool, there's 50 people. In just walking in that in Paso a couple times a week, there's 150 people doing group exercise. It's crazy.
And that's the benefit of the club membership.
Yeah.
You get all that, right?
You're having fun in class. It's social. You're connecting. To follow up on the group exercise instructors all come from busy lives. I mean, they have kids, they have other jobs, or husband and wife jobs, and they're so dedicated to us in that program. The 4 directors are amazing, plus Katie, and the teachers. They have very, very busy lives, but they give up that couple hours a week to come in, and they're always on. They're the ones that really help us drive the business with their energy. Yeah. It's just amazing, it's not a front desk person who, comes and goes with it, but these people, they love what they do, and they'll...
Well, once again, it's divine intervention taking over. It really, if you look back and you see how that whole part of the business developed and where it went, I don't know why these people came to us. I don't know why they're so loyal to us.
Well, it's again, I don't think you can compare what Kennedy clubs are compared to. You can't compare them to a Planet Fitness. It's apples and oranges. It really is. And so and that's the beauty of the club. You kind of get what you pay for, type deal. And it is. It's you get more than just the gym equipment in there. It's so much more than just walking in and going and staring at these purple machines going, what do I do? Yeah. I mean, you have your trainers there, you have your front desk, you have your, general managers, you have everybody there to help, you be successful. Yeah. And you have all these other, parts of the club, which is, your saunas, your pools, your showers. I mean, you have, Nautilus equipment. You still have some of that stuff, right? You still have the old tried and true equipment, right?
Unlike the Republicans and Democrats, I would never talk bad about any of my competitors, because all my competitors are trying to do are the same thing that I'm trying to do. We're trying to get people to come and work out, to do something, to get active, to get healthy. And there's so much business out there that's still to come.
Oh, sure.
So Planet Fitness is obviously a different product, just like Pismo Beach Athletic Club is a different product, just like Gold's Gym is a different product. Mm-hmm. You've got to go where you feel you fit.
Absolutely.
And, you have to, number one, you have to enjoy it, and it's got to be convenient for you to continue. And then you've got to get some kind of a result out of it for you to continue. Because if you're just going and you feel like I'm not getting a result, you're going to quit. But also, if you're not enjoying yourself, you're going to quit too. So you've got to have those two things. You got to enjoy it, number one. It's got to be convenient for you to get there, and you got to see results. What did I say, 2? That's 3 things.
So, Kevin, I'm going to ask you this question, and Brett, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Where do you see Kennedy clubs in 10 years from now?
Ooh, you didn't tell me you're going to ask me that.
I had to throw a curveball in there. Because you guys have done such a great job growing and growing with the times and changing with the times.
Yeah.
What does the next 10 years look like?
Well, fortunately, we have really good help. Like I said, I can't say enough good. And they're smart, and we'll continue to empower them, and new things that we do, whether it's social media stuff, website, whatever that is, people that will be very smarter than us, will continue taking that. And, this is an institution. It truly is, 43 years of business, it's an institution that keeps growing and evolving, standing the test of time. But we'll equipment-wise, programs, anything we got our hands on that make it, make the club better, we'll continue that, and we'll do even better as we continue. We'll do a better job at it.
Well, I thought about that too. Like, in 10 years from now, I'm going to be 80. So I'm not 80, but maybe I'll be 90 then. I'll call it 90.
Yeah, okay, there you
go. we own our properties, so I don't need to sell. I'm having a lot of fun with my life now. I'm in the best phase of my life now because of him, who's making it easy on me. Before, when I was the guy that was running around between all the clubs and hiring and firing general managers and fixing broken pool heaters and parking lots and roof leaks and things like that. That's what the COO does. I'm not doing that anymore, so I'm in a very good position. Once again, using other people's money, I still have 66 partners that are owners, stockholders in the company. And they get a dividend every year, and almost all of them, some of them are passing on, and we're having to buy them out, and or it's being passed on to their kids, but every one of them are happy with the investment.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for us to sell or get out, unless another COVID takes us down and they don't give us PPP money. We'll continue on as we are now for the next 10 years. There's no reason why not to. It's going great, and you never know what's going to be, the other shoe's going to drop and hit you with something you never thought of, like COVID did. But if it does, hopefully we'll be able to respond and come back stronger as we did with COVID. So I don't know. I see us still being here 10 years from now, talking about what were the new ideas we came up with in the last 10 years.
Perfect. Well, we'll be here too. Awesome. So I just want to point out too, for the viewers, I mean, you guys do a lot of community outreach. You guys are involved with, everything and anything that the community is a part of. You do a lot of, bringing a lot of money for our veterans, homeless. I mean, you guys are really involved with the community. And so,
Senior stuff.
As the community, I'd like to say thank you for that, because that's, community involvement. And I think Kennedy clubs are what it is community involvement.
Absolutely.
So, we've been there since the beginning. Giving back, drawing awareness to the community. It never go away.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Kevin,
Randy,
it was a pleasure hearing the story,
and
thank you again, man. That was an interesting ride.
Well, okay, yeah.
I mean, golly.
Like I said, the good thing I didn't go back to when I was born. I was going to start there.
That's okay. We fast forwarded through that.
I was competitive at 2 years old.
Awesome, Brett.
All right, bud. I'll see you around.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, and we appreciate you guys, sponsoring us and being a part of what we're doing. And like I said, I look forward to the journey and, what we can do to help promote and, bring awareness of what you guys have. Just not only the gym, equipment, but the actual club part and what it means.
Thank you for your support, Randy. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys.
All right, appreciate it.
Well, there you have it, guys. Hey, make sure you guys go check out Kennedy Clubs. You guys do not want to pass this up and go to that old $10, $20 deal. This is a club. This is why it's there. Go out and check it all out. I'm sure they'll give you a tour. You can check it all out and see if it's right for you. But as always, guys, we can't do this without you and our sponsors. We'd like to thank Escalar Wines, Wine Travelers Hideaway, Rancho Sestero Meat Cutting, Visit Atascadero, 805 Customs, El Red Rooster, Pacific 805 Spas, Hanson Enterprises, 5-Star Rain Gutters, Airflow Filter Services, Story Termite Pest Control, Borhoen Auto Center, and of course, Kennedy Club Fitness. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hi, welcome to Kennedy Club Fitness, where we have something for everyone. We have weights, cardio, group exercise classes, racquetball, basketball, swimming, and pickleball coming soon. Here at Kennedy, we're committed to health, wellness, and community. Stop by any of our 4 locations: Paso Robles, Atascadero, San Luis Obispo, and Arroyo Grande, or check out our website at kennedyclubs.com.
We don't just serve it up, We roast it, distill it, brew it, craft it, crank it, bake it, make it, perfect it, cure it, paint it, live it, breathe it, and then we serve it up, all in a Atascadero.
Hi, this is Dave Story, small game hunter with Story Termite and Pest. We're a full-service termite and pest control company. From rodents to termites, we can take care of all your pest control needs. Call today, we can tailor a pest control program that will meet your needs and budget. Contact us at 805-460-0650 or at storytermite.com. Remember, we don't have customers, we have friends.